the smarter you are, the more resistance you create. Not because you attack people, but because your presence exposes them without effort. You walk into a room thinking clarity earns respect. What it actually earns is tension. You speak plainly. The air tightens. Eyes shift. The mood turns cold. You did not insult anyone. You did not raise your voice. You did not cross a line. Yet somehow, you became the problem. This is not an accident. And it has nothing to do with your tone. It has everything to do with what your intelligence forces other people to see about themselves. Most intelligent people eventually hit the same invisible wall. And that wall is not built from ignorance. It is built from ego. Intelligence does not make you safe. It does not make you light. And it does not make you welcome. In many rooms, it does the opposite. When you enter a conversation with people who are less sharp, they are not experiencing you as someone intelligent. They are experiencing comparison, a quiet and uncomfortable comparison. If they can see that, what do they see when they look at me? This thought rarely reaches the surface. Most people will never admit it to themselves, but it runs silently in the background. They see what I miss, and if they see more than I do, then they also see where I fall short. In that moment, your intelligence stops being a skill. It becomes a mirror, and people do not like standing in front of mirrors. They do not attack mirrors with arguments. They attack them with attitude. They roll their eyes. They change the subject. They make jokes. They look for ways to diminish you somewhere else. On the surface, it looks like disagreement. Underneath, it is self-defense. Most people prefer rooms where they feel slightly above average, not challenged, not exposed, just comfortably competent. That is why the loud and simple person often wins the room. They threaten no one's self-image. They give warmth. You give contrast. Warmth feels safe. Contrast feels like judgment. You did not accuse anyone, but they felt accused. And once people feel threatened, they stop responding to truth. They respond to emotion. As Machiavelli warned, the man who wishes to be good at all times will come to ruin among so many who are not good. Intelligence does not fail because it is wrong. It fails because it reveals too much. And for many people, that is unforgivable. Intelligence becomes dangerous the moment it forces comparison. Not comparison in skill or status, but comparison in awareness. People do not measure themselves against you consciously. They measure themselves emotionally. When someone sharper enters the room, the mind does not ask who is right. It asks who is exposed. And exposure is one of the most painful experiences for the ego. The ego survives by maintaining a stable self-image. Most people walk through life assuming they are reasonably competent, reasonably informed, reasonably capable. They do not test this assumption very often. They do not want to. Intelligence threatens that balance because it introduces contrast. It highlights gaps. It makes blind spots visible. And the ego does not interpret this as information. It interprets it as danger. This is why people rarely respond to intelligence with curiosity. They respond with defensiveness. Your clarity becomes a silent accusation even when no accusation was made. Your questions feel like challenges even when they are neutral. Your calm confidence feels like judgment even when it is not. The ego does not care about your intention. It only cares about how it feels standing next to you. Once comparison begins, the psyche moves quickly into self-protection. If they cannot reduce the difference, they must reduce you. This is where subtle hostility appears. Dismissive comments, jokes that cut sideways, changing the subject the moment things become precise. None of this is random. It is an attempt to escape the mirror. People do not want to know what they do not know. They want to feel adequate. They want to feel safe inside their limitations. And when intelligence disrupts that safety, the ego looks for a way to restore equilibrium. Sometimes that means denying the value of what you say. Sometimes it means reframing you as arrogant or cold. Sometimes it means quietly excluding you from future conversations. This is not about ideas. It is about identity. When intelligence exposes a weakness, the ego experiences it as shame. And shame is intolerable, so it must be redirected. The easiest way to redirect shame is outward. If they feel small next to you, they do not grow. They attack the source of the feeling, not directly, indirectly, through tone, through gossip, through social cues. Think of intelligence like a bright light in a dark room. The light does not harm anyone. It simply reveals what is already there. But those who have grown comfortable in the dark will resent the light, not because it is wrong, but because it removes their illusion of control. This is the core mechanism. Intelligence reflects, ego defends, and the conflict is inevitable. There is a moment when a conversation quietly changes arenas. At first, it looks like a discussion of ideas. Points are exchanged. Logic is tested. Clarity still matters. But once someone realizes they cannot win there, the game shifts. Reason is abandoned, and something else takes its place. This is the moment the arena of reason collapses into the arena of will. In the arena of reason, intelligence has the advantage. Arguments can be evaluated. Evidence matters. Consistency counts. But not everyone is willing to keep losing in that space. And they are not foolish enough to stay where they are outmatched. So they move the fight somewhere else. They stop trying to prove you wrong. They start trying to make you look weak. Volume replaces logic. Sarcasm replaces structure. Tone replaces substance. What began as disagreement turns into mockery, insinuation, and character attacks. This is not emotional overflow. It is strategy. If they cannot beat your thinking, they will try to beat your reputation. Socially, the real question is rarely who is right. The real question is who looks strong and who looks exposed. Once the room becomes emotional, accuracy no longer wins points. Perception does. And in that environment, humiliation is more effective than truth. This is why intelligent people get blindsided. They stay calm. They keep explaining. They believe the scoreboard is still logic. Meanwhile, the other person has switched scoreboards entirely. One side is counting arguments. The other is counting reactions. One side is trying to be correct. The other is trying to dominate the room. And domination does not require truth. It requires momentum. Once reputation becomes the target, anything that makes you appear isolated, cold, or socially out of step becomes useful. A raised eyebrow, a joke that lands, a group laugh. These signals tell the room who holds power now. And if you are still speaking carefully, while others are performing, emotionally, you begin to lose ground fast. This is why debates slide into name-calling. This is why serious conversations turn shallow. This is why precision is punished in emotional rooms. The shift is deliberate, because will does not care about being right. It cares about being unchallenged. Intelligence is not defeated by better ideas here. It is defeated by social pressure. And unless you recognize the shift early, you will keep fighting the wrong battle, wondering why truth stopped working, when in reality, truth was no longer the currency being traded. When you zoom out from individual conversations and look at larger systems, the same pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Politics, corporations, bureaucracy, academic institutions. You do not see a line of independent, high-powered minds at the top. You see polished mediocrity. And this is not a failure of intelligence. It is a success of social design. Institutions do not reward clarity. They reward comfort. To rise inside a system, you need allies. You need favors. You need people above you to feel safe around you. And safety does not come from insight. It comes from predictability, from flattery, from never making anyone feel exposed. Average minds are better at this game. They mirror the boss. They repeat the dominant narrative. They never accidentally reveal how shallow a decision really is. They do not point out waste. They do not challenge inefficiency. They do not ask the question that makes everyone uncomfortable. They know when to stay quiet. And more importantly, they know what not to see. The intelligent person struggles here, not because they are arrogant, but because they notice too much. They see the flaws, the mismanagement, the contradictions, and even when they try to stay silent, it leaks out through their questions, through their tone, through their facial expressions, through pauses that last a second too long. And that leakage is read as danger. They are labeled difficult, not a team player, too intense, too negative, too rigid. These labels are not descriptions. They are defenses. It is easier to pathologize the person who sees clearly than to examine the system that is failing. This is why mediocrity moves upward smoothly. It creates no friction. It threatens no egos. It preserves hierarchy by never questioning it. Meanwhile, intelligence is pushed sideways, not because it lacks value, but because it creates instability in environments built on illusion. Over time, boards fill with safe thinkers. Committees fill with people who agree just enough to avoid conflict. Expertise becomes performative. Titles replace competence. And systems slowly decay under the weight of unchallenged decisions. The tragedy is not just institutional. It becomes personal. Because when intelligence is consistently punished, the individual learns to hide, to dull their edge, to stop naming what they see. And the system continues unchanged, not because it works, but because no one inside it is allowed to speak clearly without consequence. When intelligence is repeatedly punished, it does not disappear. It turns inward, and that inward turn carries a cost. The external rejection eventually becomes an internal conflict. Not because the intelligent person hates people, but because clarity isolates. When people feel smaller next to you, they rarely admit insecurity. Instead, they construct a story. They say something is off about you. They call you arrogant, cold, difficult, negative. These labels spread quietly, and over time, you start hearing them echoed back through behavior rather than words. Invitations slow down. Conversations become shorter. You are included less, consulted privately, ignored publicly. At first, you resist. You tell yourself this is fine. You value truth over approval. You do not need validation. But humans are social creatures. Rejection still lands. And when it repeats, the mind looks for a cause. This is where self-doubt begins. You start replaying conversations. Maybe I was too blunt. Maybe I should have softened it. Maybe I should have stayed quiet. Maybe I am the problem. Introspection turns into self-surveillance. And slowly, accuracy is mistaken for fault. Social discomfort becomes evidence against yourself. So you pull back. You stop offering your full perspective. You stop correcting obvious errors. You stop expecting to be understood. You let nonsense pass without resistance. In groups, you go quiet. You observe. You shrink, not because you agree, but because engagement no longer feels worth the cost. And in that silence, something dangerous can happen. You turn your intelligence against yourself. You begin questioning your instincts. You dull your clarity to maintain peace. You trade self-respect for belonging. And over time, resentment grows, not outward, inward. This is the hidden damage of seeing too clearly. Isolation is not loud. It is subtle. It arrives disguised as maturity, as patience, as detachment. But underneath, it is grief. Grief for connection that could not survive honesty. The mistake many intelligent people make here is moralizing rejection. They assume social resistance means they are wrong, that clarity is cruelty, that truth is arrogance. But most of the time, it is not a moral failure. It is a mismatch between accuracy and ego tolerance. Seeing clearly does not make you superior. It makes you incompatible with environments built on illusion. And unless you understand this, you will keep turning your sharpness inward, mistaking friction for guilt and silence for wisdom. There is another arena where this pattern becomes obvious almost immediately. Beauty, especially visible beauty. Place a very attractive person into a group of average-looking people and watch the energy shift. No words are needed. No insults are exchanged. The comparison happens instantly, and it hurts. The average person does not attack beauty directly. They rarely say she is not attractive. That would fail. Instead, they attack character. They say she is fake, manipulative, full of herself, a narcissist. The move is subtle but consistent. When someone's presence forces a comparison you do not like, you go after what you can reach, not the face, the name. Intelligence works the same way. When you cannot compete with someone's clarity, you do not challenge their insight. You challenge their personality. You frame them as arrogant, cold, difficult, socially unaware. The accusation is never about ideas. It is about safety. Because ideas cannot be controlled. Reputation can. Beauty threatens vanity. Intelligence threatens ego. Both trigger the same defense. Social systems are built to protect average self-images. And the safest position in any group is standing next to someone you feel above, not beneath. This is why social warmth often beats depth. The person who laughs at everything, who agrees just enough, who never introduces a thought that makes others feel slow. They are safe. They create no friction. They give people a painless version of themselves. And that is what most social environments are optimized for. Meanwhile, the sharper person feels like a storm cloud, not because they are cruel, but because clarity is uncomfortable in spaces designed for ease. No one wants precision at a party. No one wants truth during bonding rituals. Comfort is the currency. Accuracy is the threat. So the group protects itself, not with confrontation, with distancing, with subtle reputational erosion. You are not attacked openly. You are quietly redefined. Once the label sticks, others respond to the label, not to you. This is how intelligence and beauty are neutralized socially. Not by denial, by containment, by turning presence into risk, by making association feel unsafe. And once safety becomes the priority, excellence is no longer welcome. It becomes something to manage, something to soften, something to push to the edges. Not because it is harmful, but because it reminds too many people of what they are not ready to face. If you are someone who sees clearly, there are a few realities you must accept if you want to stay sane. The first is this: you cannot argue people into liking you. If your presence already threatens them, more evidence of your intelligence will only make it worse. Proof does not soften insecurity. It sharpens it. So stop trying to convince people who are not committed to understanding you. That effort will only drain you. The second is learning to separate truth-telling from social bonding. Not every room is a courtroom. Not every conversation is a trial where accuracy must win. Sometimes the purpose is connection, not clarity. When the stakes are low and the goal is comfort, let nonsense pass like background noise. Silence in those moments is not cowardice. It is discernment. The third is finding peers. Not crowds, peers. You need a small circle of people who are not threatened by clarity. People who can hear something uncomfortable and say you are right even if it stings. These people are rare, but they are essential. With them, you do not have to dull your edge. You do not have to perform warmth to be accepted. That is your real community. The fourth is being honest about the cost. If you insist on seeing things as they are and saying what you see, you will lose paths that are only open to people who flatter and conform. Do not romanticize that loss. Accept it. It is the price of accuracy. Some rooms will always remain closed. Some invitations will never come. That is not injustice. That is alignment. What matters here is avoiding contempt. Many intelligent people harden. They begin to believe everyone is stupid, fake, shallow. That posture will rot you from the inside. Most people are not villains. They are protecting their sense of worth the only way they know how. You do the same thing in areas where you feel weak. The goal is not to despise average people. The goal is to stop expecting average environments to reward what you do best. Once you drop that expectation, bitterness fades. You stop taking resistance personally. You stop dimming your mind to keep others comfortable. Your task is not to make every room safe for your intelligence. Your task is to use what you see in places where truth actually matters. Those places will be fewer, smaller, quieter, but they will be real. And that is the trade.